So this is Kingdoms of Death. This is a first-person shooter that puts you in a world that's basically using a desert rendering engine, very similar to the game Return to Obra Dinn from Lucas Pope. And as you can see, everything is in monochrome, only mostly 2 bits of colors, and it's a fairly retro style shooter. You start the game by deciding a mission, and you basically ride a horse to your destination, and you have to get to the end of the level and typically go through a number of enemies, and there's going to be some bosses as well. The game is fairly standard, fairly linear. There's typically only one way to get to where you need to go, and the enemies are fairly, I would say, simple. There's a lot of the same enemies, and the AI is not very great. You can see this particular enemy, as long as you stand next to them, you can kill them with no problem. You can also go around them and they will not even notice that you're behind them so much, which is really a bit strange. But otherwise, they are fairly well done per se. The animation is average for the enemies. I really like what they did for the whole setting, the whole level design. It's quite original, and it matches well with the kind of design engine they decided. So it's well done in that sense. But the enemies are kind of average. They could have had better animation. They could be scarier, or maybe have more personality. It seems a bit generic. You have like zombies with shotguns, zombies with swords, and that's zombies with bows. That's mostly it. You do have some enemies that tend to be a bit different. You can see like once in a while you get this kind of unusual, larger type of enemies that you can shoot as well. And that typically have a lot more health. I tried to shoot him in the groin, but he didn't do anything else. So I guess you have to finish him first of all. You also have enemies that come from the sky and begin at you. Surprising, because you don't expect them. And yeah, they're quite fast, so you have to make sure you shoot them before they hit you. And with other enemies being around you, sometimes it could be quite difficult. What I find disappointing is the weapons. They are fairly generic, and they don't feel very strong either. Like when you shoot, like the actual sound itself feels a little, soft. Really like, for example, the old Doom sound, for example. They sounded really good even at the time. Here it's a bit, I would say, less punch. I would say. Music is pretty good actually. Once you move into different areas, you get this kind of retro chiptune like music that is actually very catchy. And the thing is pretty well done and matches well with the design that they are trying to have for the game. I can see here that the game changes design a lot in terms of environment from one place to another. It's fairly well done. I really like what they did here. It doesn't look like a generic corridor from one place to the next. They really try to make it varied and to keep you engaged in the game. It's probably a good idea because the enemies themselves are not super interesting, so at least the environments are a lot more fun to explore. You have this save system which is based on checkpoints, which is kind of annoying because you actually have to save the game only in those areas, and then if you want to quit the game and come back to the middle of the level, it's not possible. You have to restart the level from scratch. So once you start the level, you have to finish it, otherwise you have to do it all over again, regardless if you save in the middle. Which is kind of lame. I really would have preferred to be able to stop anytime, and at least at the checkpoint, and restart from the checkpoints. But unfortunately, it's not done like that. You have some long-range weapons, like this one is a kind of rifle that is fairly accurate in long range, so it's fairly fun to actually hit enemies from far away like that. In this area, you find yourself into a huge theater. Again, fairly well done. I really like what they did here. I forgot to mention you are equipped with a sword that has an eye and is a talking sword. It's kind of a companion. It doesn't really interact with you that much, only at the beginning of the level and at the end where you would typically use it. You can see there's always on the HUD an indicator that's actually the eye of the sword showing you where you should go next. Kind of a GPS-like function. It's not super useful, because a lot of times you're trying to follow that sign and you find out it's actually not clear where you should go. In some areas it's very dark, and because of the way they use the shadows and so on, and sometimes you're like, don't even know where are you and where you should be going next because it's just too dark. So sometimes it can be a bit confusing. I would have liked to have maybe a bit of more lighting in some areas. But you can see, again, another environment here that's very well done. It's kind of circular stairs-like structure. Here you have a gun that's a lot more powerful, kind of a minigun, and that does actually a light effect as well when you're shooting, which is this is the end of the first level. This is what happened, like you have to destroy this gate by smashing the skull, and then you have to escape the level, so you can see what it looks like there. And this is it. So I would say it's an original game. It's probably not one of the best shooters out there. The action is a little bit more boring than you'd find in modern shooters like the recent Dooms. The enemies are a bit generic, the weapons as well, but the environments and the whole atmosphere is definitely unusual and worth a shot. So if you're interested, I would recommend giving it a shot. And it runs very well on Linux with Proton, as you can see here. So that's it, and talk to you again very soon.